Good morning to you wherever you are. Welcome to Ways Breakfast, hashtag what are you saying? Just like we were joined yesterday by the teens and we had such a very beautiful time, we are going to be sharing the table with them again this morning from the Ways Teens platform. They will be lending their voices to the big question of our time, solving global problems with STEM, AI, and a growth mindset. From climate and healthcare to education and jobs, we will explore how science and technology, powered by a can learn, can do attitude, can drive real change. My name is Triumph Kimboye, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our teen panelists joining us online. We have Alpha Sally this morning and Lizina. Lizina, can you hear me? Good morning to you.
Morning, Triumph. I can hear you loud and clear.
Alpha, good morning. It's so good to have you join us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So right here inside the studio, I am joined by my beautiful Goodness, Idea. Good morning, Goodness.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
It's so good. How did your morning go?
Awesome.
It's so good to hear from you. All right. Right now, we are going to be going on a very short break so we could quickly reflect on our history. And then when we come back, we're going to be looking through the papers of today. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. What are your thoughts on this historical milestone? I would love to hear your insight and perspective. Remember that our comment section is there for you and our phone lines are open. Please call us 0702 500-7749. If you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, click the subscribe button now, like and share the link. Tune into channel 145 on your GoTV and do not miss this. So right now we are going to be having the news around the globe. Let's take a look at what's making headlines today. We'll be scanning the pages of top newspapers, The Punch, The Guardian, and The Tribune News. Okay, and we are going to be having it first with Alpha. He will be taking us through the Guardian News. So, Alpha, can you hear us? All right.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go on.
That's perfect. Right. So my story for today is taken from The Guardian, and the headline reads, Corrections and Penal Reforms, How Waning Funding, Legal Aid Keep 53,460 pre-trial inmates in Jail. And the story reads, owing to a lack of regular visits to correctional centers to assess the circumstances of the detention of indigent citizens awaiting trial by the industry-specific NGOs, the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA, and the judiciary, the number of pretrial inmates in the correctional centers across the Federation has continued to balloon. Out of 81,000 total inmates in Nigerian correctional facilities, 53,460 persons are awaiting trial. Over the years, non-governmental organizations focusing on prisoners' rights habitually visit correctional centers to ascertain the facts of the cases of those awaiting trial and assist in their liberty. But this is not happening again as it used to happen, resulting in continuous overcrowding of correctional facilities and the entrenchment of injustice on the most vulnerable citizens. According to legal experts, various factors such as lack of funding from international donor agencies, death of promoters of these organizations, logistics challenge, and general apathy are responsible for this decline. So the story goes on and on, but then the TLDR of the story is that there are certain people who are awaiting trial that are currently in prison or in correctional centers. And because they don't have the financial means to either pay for maybe a lawyer to help them with their trial or to pay their fine that they need to pay to get out of that center, they just stay there essentially, and the number continues to skyrocket because they can't pay their fines that they need to pay. So before, there used to be like international donors and all sorts of people who act as Samaritans, good Samaritans, and pay the fines on behalf of these people. But that number has drastically declined for some reasons, and because of that, the people that are awaiting this trial that are being kept inside those correctional facilities is just increasing. So funnily enough, the judiciary actually has a mandate in Section 34 of the Criminal Justice Act that they have to visit these detention facilities every month to ensure that the rights of these people who are being detained there are upheld. So during those visits is usually supposed to be where they would, I guess, try to get people who have stayed there for too long out so that the area can be made conducive for other people who are also coming. Unfortunately, because of the overcrowded nature of the place, they can't really afford to do that. So I think the Deputy Controller General for Corrections, his name is Ibrahim Idris, he made a public call to everyone saying that people should come and be philanthropic and help people to pay their fines so that the detention facilities can do a better job of keeping the inmates. Now, what I think about this, it's quite sad because what it just goes to show is that the people who end up breaking most of the laws aren't even people that can afford to pay the consequences of the law. So it's a very funny situation. It really does, it just keeps spiraling. And if this is the case, if we know that the people who are going to break the law are people who can't pay the consequences, maybe we should try to do more to ensure that they don't break the law in the first place. So I think it's a call to our law enforcement agencies to say, hey, if these people keep running the red lights and they get sent to the prison, we can't keep them. So you ensure by better policies and by actually doing your job on the road instead of just stopping people to harass them, actually do your job, then these people wouldn't have to come to prison in the first place and we won't be overcrowded as is. So I would say, please, our law enforcement agencies, we need to do a bit better.
You know, Alpha, that goes to say that sometimes when we are trying to get some things done, trying to commit some crime, we should also consider the kind of background that we have. Because you know fully well that nobody is going to get you out of prison and then you are having to commit certain crime. That's really, really funny. And then, you know, there is a part of the story that you've read to us that is telling us out that there are quite a number of lawyers on ground. I mean, according to the news I saw, we have like 127,000 lawyers on roll call. And I think, in my own opinion, I think the federal government in itself should actually have people, you know, in the judiciary that actually represent these people. Because some of these people that even commit crime, they don't even know where their family members are. Their family members, maybe by the time maybe at the point where they committed the crime, maybe their family member were not even around. They don't even know where they are. Why some people have been in that prison for years. Their family might be long gone already, or different situation. It could even be this financial challenge. So, you know, what I'm thinking about is that how else, aside, you know, how else can we help these people that don't even have the capacity to financially take care of these people? Because it's just bothering me. Can't we have maybe somebody in the can't we have, you know, representatives, you know, lawyers in the government that can actually represent these people regardless? If not, people are going to be there for a very long time because we have 127,000 lawyers on roll call. That's not a small number, I think. So I don't really know if what I said, you know.
No, I completely understand. From the story, what it's showing is that usually it's NGOs that used to take up the cases of these people, non-governmental organizations, and those ones are doing it as pro bono cases, essentially, without pay and just doing it because they believe that the system should be better and they want to do their part to contribute it to make that happen. So point is, they take the expense on themselves, but there should be a category of the legal system. There probably is, maybe I just don't know, of lawyers who are dedicated as defense attorneys for people who can't afford to. Because everybody, I think it's a right. You have the right to an attorney. So we just need to get the attorneys to the people who can actually.
We have it like that in some other countries. Like I'm very sure about South Korea, for example. They have, from the government, they are the one that can represent these people, even if you don't have the capacity to fund yourself. So I think they should really look into this, right? I think they should really look into this. So thank you so much, Alpha. Now let's hear from Lizina. Take us through the Punch news.
All right. So I'll be reading from the Punch News today, and the headline is Strike Threat. ASU VCs decry Prof's 525,000 naira monthly pay. Following the conclusion of its nationwide protest on Tuesday, members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities are set to hold Congress to decide their next line of action, the Punch reports. This comes as the federal government meets today to address long-standing agitations over the implementation of the renegotiated 2009 FGN-ASU agreement, which triggered nationwide protests across universities on Tuesday. Earlier this year, the President Bola Tinubu administration released 50 billion naira to settle earned academic allowances owed to university lecturers and staff. However, ASU has consistently demanded clear commitments on improved salaries, conditions of services, university funding, autonomy, and a review of laws governing the National Universities Commission and the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. The meeting expected to be attended by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Muhammadu Magyari Dingyadi, and representatives of the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, is expected to produce a timetable for signing and the phased implementation of the renegotiated agreement, along with related reports. Government sources in the Education and Labour Ministries told The Punch that today's discussion would focus on reconciling the Yayale Ahmed Committee draft concluded in December 2024 with the original 2009 agreement and subsequent recommendations, including the Nimi Briggs report. Also on the table is how to phase the fiscal commitment into the national budget and produce a legally binding instrument for signature. So, obviously, the story goes on, and I think my take on this is that this ASU strike has been going on for a really long time, just like what we spoke about yesterday. One thing that really stood out for me was that he said that earlier this year, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu released 50 billion naira to settle the issues with the university professors. But now the ASU are saying that they are not seeing anything. The money that they so-called released to settle them hasn't been seen by them. And then another thing is that the professors are complaining about not just only the salaries, but poor working conditions for them in general. Later on in the story, it says how that professors sometimes have to sleep in the office because they have to leave so late. And there's a low amount of staff, so they have to take on more roles, which is not only draining to them, but it's also detrimental to the students. Imagine your teacher or your professor coming into work and not wanting to work or having to sleep the day before. Obviously, they're not going to put their best in. And then these students are also paying for these services. So all in all, it's a lose-lose for both of the people. What ASU also wants is like, they want the federal government to put action behind their words. They're tired of the failed promises. They're tired of the reports going out that they will do this, they will do that. They want action behind their words. They want a better condition for their staff. He said that they have about, say, 500,000 naira that they wanted to give the professors, even though that amount of money cannot really take care of people in Nigeria, if you get what I'm saying. They have to pay rent, they have to buy food. By the time you go 2 weeks into the month, that money has basically finished, and you're expected to continue consistently showing up for work day after day and giving your all to it. It's really draining and it's really detrimental. And I think what the federal government needs to do is to sort this issue once and for all. Even if they are releasing money now in 2025, in the next 5 years, we don't want to hear another ASU strike. We don't want to hear another complaint about work conditions. So they want something that is tangible and they can actually hold on to. Yes.
Lizina, honestly, what I actually wrote down from what you were reading was actually the 50 billion naira, because that was what caught my attention, really. So I wrote it down. I didn't even know that you were going to talk about that, because I already told myself that, I mean, I am going to get angry. How will we be having, and we're always having this kind of story. It gets me really, really sad, because we always have to talk about the fact that a certain $1 billion, billion naira is somewhere, and then the person that released the money is saying that, oh, I've released the money. The person that's supposed to get the money is saying that, oh, I've not gotten the money. So who are you? Is it we, as the citizens, are we the ones to figure out where the 50 billion naira went to? And I used to say that this lack of accountability thing is one of the major problems that we are facing as a country. Because, okay, our president is saying that he released 50 billion naira. ASU is saying that they did not get any money at the beginning of the year. So until when are we going to go on? Since I've known anything about ASU, we've been having this back and forth strike. But they could come out to say that they have certain amounts that they want to start giving them for loans. I don't understand. Who exactly is kidding me? Who is the middleman? Because that's the question that I keep asking every time. These are the questions that I get to ask myself every time. So who is the person, or which level are we not finding the money again? And who are we supposed to go and meet? Who are we supposed to hold by the neck? So it just gets me really, really worried. And I hope this time, because I also saw in the news that they are going to be meeting today again. So I think, I don't know, maybe you have another view to it. Goodness.
Well, for me, like I said yesterday, right, that it has been over time as our strike has been lingering on in the country. And I said something that was a few days back, that this strike they've been going to right, it's something that they can really be determined to actually trash out once and for all. Not them giving them crumbs, like I said. They give them crumbs, they go back to their office and they are satisfied. Then after a while, once the crumbs are finished, they come out again crying, lamenting that the government is owing them or they need to pay a certain amount. So why can't you just, take the bull by the horn? Focus. If it's that you want to go on a lengthy strike, go on a lengthy strike. I'm sure that in that process, even parents who are also victim of, as a result of this strike, will come out to support the lecturers, the ASU association will come out. Even the nuns will also come out. So if they can be determined to take that bold step, it might also take a turn on the students, right?
Yes,
that
because actually,
for a very long time. But it's also for their own cause. Do they like it going on breaks? But
sometimes
all the
we
time?
have this long strike. I mean, recently the ASU long strike has even reduced. But sometimes we have very long, and then the same thing. We are just getting.
So
the
that's
same
just it. If, for instance, a government offer them something again and they keep quiet, I promise you, before even this year runs out, ASU will still come out again. So let them just take this and set it once and for all.
All right, so let us quickly look into the front page of the Tribune newspaper.
All right, so I'm moving to the Tribune newspaper. Not really much, but we have some exciting news. Above the masthead, we have federal government declare retirees pension backlogs with 758 billion naira bond, and that can be read in page 15. Beside that, we have CBN goes tough on POS operators, others geotagging of terminals to tackle fraud, increase surveillance. I'm going to talk about that later. And below the masthead, the Tribune leads with, despite endorsing Tinubu, APC throws ticket open. Interesting story. And alongside that, beside, we have the government bans elaborate graduation ceremonies for nursery and junior secondary school pupils. We talked about this.
Yes,
I think that was last week, concerning Imo State.
And the fact that I remember that we also advised that every other state should start following them. It's so beautiful to see.
It's a good policy, and kudos to the Ondo State government, that's Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, for taking this initiative. And following, we have Nigeria losses 455 billion naira annually to poor sanitation. Nigeria before, we are battling with sanitation. That's just it. Honestly, we are battling. 56% of Nigerians living below poverty line, TUC president. And we have an health story, paracetamol, ibuprofen, and quietly falling antibiotic resistance involving global health problems. So I'm going to be taking this story, which is way below the masthead. China boosts Nigeria flood relief efforts with $1 million. I talked about, was it yesterday or so, concerning, okay, not yesterday, some states that will be experiencing flood in the northern region in Nigeria. And now we have the Chinese government that has donated $1 million to support victims in the northern states.
Wow.
The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Bagudu, signed the exchange note on the financial support with the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Yu Dunhai, in Abuja. And the states that are probably looking at their target states are Kebbi, Jigawa, Sokoto, Borno, Taraba, and Adamawa states, which were worst hit by recent flooding.
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful one. And I hope that this same thing that, I was getting angry about us, we don't have to deal with that. Because now we hear Chinese now. Before you know it, the residents are coming out to complain. So who and how did they share the $1 million? So I hope they will be accountable about it.
And just shortly, thanks to the Central Bank of Nigeria that has directed that all POS terminals need to be registered geotag within 60 days as part of measures to curb fraud and strengthen oversight of digital payment. I think that's also a good one because of recently, I've heard some people, right? Me, I didn't even patronize POS. People.
Yeah, I noticed that you're always going to the bank.
I don't patronize them because they also have their own funny style of fraud activities. And I like the initiative that the central bank, that they need to register. And once they are carrying out any transaction, it needs to be within that zone. So if a POS is being used outside, then it will be deactivated. That's a good one.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us with the newspaper headlines. Right now, we are going to go on a very short break. When we return, we are going to get into our beautiful topic, our interesting topic this morning. We want to look at the, how to solve the global problems with STEM, AI, and a growth mindset. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be right back.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Welcome back, our dearest viewers. The world today is facing challenges on a scale we've never seen before, from climate change to food insecurity to gaps in everywhere. We have even with economic inequality, but with every challenge actually comes an opportunity. And one of the strongest tools we have is the power of STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now, adding to that incredible possibilities of artificial intelligence, which is already transforming, how we work, how we learn, and even how we solve problems, from predicting diseases early to making the work we do smarter to designing sustainable cities. AI is showing us that the future doesn't have to be bleak. However, there is another part that we shouldn't forget, which is our mindset. Having a growth mindset means believing that challenges are not dead ends, but doors to innovation and improvement. When people, especially young people, approach STEM and AI with curiosity and resilience, global problems begin to look like global opportunities. So the big question this morning, or the big questions this morning are, how exactly can STEM and AI reshape the way we tackle pressing global challenges? What role does a growth mindset play in ensuring innovation thrives? And closer to home, how can Africa and Nigeria position themselves to not just adapt, but to lead in this future? If we actually don't commend AI, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, if we don't commend, these things, we're just kidding, right? Even though they have the sides to it. So first, we would like to commend, because we see a lot of things that are, rather than, I consider these things, rather than take 10 steps, you're taking 2 steps or 3 steps to achieve a particular result. So that is it. But, looking at the way we use AI, in our everyday life, for you, what are some of the ways you have been able to, some practical ways that you make use of artificial intelligence in solving your own real-life problems, right? What do you think, Alpha? Have you been able to make use of artificial intelligence to solve, some of the problems that you have in your daily life? How far has it gone, really?
Yeah, for me, AI is, because I study robotics engineering, that's the course I'm studying, so it's also integrated into my course to some extent. But for my everyday life, I do use it to a considerable degree. I tend to use the popular large language models, ones like ChatGPT or Google's Gemini, usually to perhaps summarize documents, summarize meetings, and also to create ideas or to draw from different perspectives. And the reason why I do this is because it's been trained on a huge amount of data, like larger data sets than you can possibly even imagine. So there's so much that you can gain if you're able to ask the right questions. There's actually a field of technology, of work that is called prompt engineering, where they teach people to just ask AI the kind of questions that would produce like amazing answers. So I sometimes use it when I'm doing research for work or for school, and it generally makes me more efficient because I'm able to summarize meetings like that and come up with documents really quickly. So that's my personal use for AI so far.
Right. Goodness, do you use it every day? How often do you use AI, ChatGPT, for the popular ones?
Okay, I really don't use ChatGPT, so I do make use of Gemini.
Okay.
Right, because at times that GPT, it usually have some issues. So after you've used it for a certain number of times, you won't be able to use it for that particular day. So you have to wait like till the next day. So I just rather go for Gemini, which has like an app in the Gmail option. So yes, I've used Gemini. Right, I've used it to refine some phrases and like some phrases. I've used that to also do some assignments, right, to give answers. And I've also used it to do a little bit of research, like getting probably like an article that I can read, or to recommend a video that I can watch on a certain topic. So it's good, but it depends on how you also use it, right? Because even this so-called AI or Gemini could also give you a wrong answer. So you have to like tailor your questions well and be specific. And I think for this ChatGPT, Gemini, and the rest, well, like, permit me to use the word that it should be used by smart people. Yeah, because if you're not in that caliber of it, you just write and you write vaguely, right? And the AI, the Gemini or ChatGPT, will give you a vague answer. So that's it. So you have to be very specific and tailor your question to get an exact and credible information, because even Gemini or ChatGPT can give you an information that is not credible. So you have to like state it there.
Okay, you know, what you just said about smart people using all this AI is actually very, very, very true. Because sometimes if I want to interact with ChatGPT, for example, and let me just impute straightforward the answer that it gives, and then you're wondering that, is it the same ChatGPT that is going to give like a very responsible, because can't you see what I ask? Can you see the way you're responding? So it goes beyond just the AI being available, how you are able to navigate around it, which brings me to think that, Lizina, how far has AI actually helped you in solving certain problems?
Right. So I actually wanted to comment on what Alpha and Goodness said. The way you use AI is the way it's going to respond to you. For me, AI is actually a tool. Let's see it with this scenario. Let's say you have a screwdriver. You know the point that goes into the screw and you screw it in. Imagine turning it the other way around. It's not going to do anything for you. So it depends on the way you use it and the way you use the tool. For me, I actually use AI not really on a daily basis, but it's like my last resort. So if I have an assignment or an essay and I have a question, I do the research by myself. I write out the essay, I answer the question to the best of my capabilities, and then I put this essay into AI. Most times I use Copilot or ChatGPT, and I say, what question was I trying to answer from this? And then I try to see how similar the question the AI brings and the question I was given is, and then I use it as a rating. From that, because I don't want to limit my thinking by using ChatGPT. I don't want ChatGPT to think for me. I just want it to be an assistant and a tool for me so that I don't stop thinking, but boost my creative juices.
Okay, I remembered something. I was in Federal University of Technology, Mina, I think last year, and something very funny happened. So this this boy came, and then he was like, oh my God, I want to do my assignment. He was in 100 level. I want to do my assignment. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then he's going all the way to ChatGPT. You know, in my mind, I was wondering that, is it now very easy for you to yield to ChatGPT? Because so that it doesn't feel like maybe I'm not being woke or I'm not adjusting to the present way of life.
State.
It's the state of technology. Because I'm wondering that when I was in 100 level, I have to do my proper research, do everything, arrange my words very well. But it's so funny how that with technology, with this artificial intelligence, it could also help you to arrange the things that you're supposed to arrange yourself. So sometimes I start asking questions like, am I not trying to reduce or cage the way I am supposed to be thinking just because you feel like AI can do it better, so you don't even believe in yourself again. You feel like, oh, you have to use AI. So I was wondering that you're just in 100 level. I think at this point you could, when I was doing my project, my final year project, we did not have AI the way, yes, we did not have AI the way AI was like this. And then I'm wondering what's going on. In fact, sometimes I ask myself that, okay, What if you don't have AI presently? How would you do things? So as much as we're celebrating AI, these are some of the challenges that I have with AI, some of the gaps that I think that should be filled with AI. But I don't know, maybe some people have a different opinion. So left to me, I feel like if I were to be asked that should we scrap, I would say that maybe something, but I don't know. Let me hear your thoughts.
What I wanted to even say, right? Even as a student, if you make use of AI and you're working with a smart lecturer, you will get caught. That's just it. Because there is a particular tone that AI gives you, or supply you answers to your questions. So it's AI's tone is totally different from human tone. So if you ask a definition or a question, there's a way it brings answers to you that will be totally different from if you are the one that had written that particular answer, right? So that's why I said even if you're using it in academics now, and even in academics, right, they usually want students to avoid using AI, for their assignment or for their project because they are obviously going to get caught.
Lizzie, do you actually subscribe to the fact that, because I remember that you said something like, okay, maybe you don't really use it, but do you also subscribe to the fact that maybe we should actually not, maybe if there is a way to regulate it, maybe people would not be dependent on it. Maybe you've seen people, your colleagues and all of that, do the same, they're just very dependent on this AI thing.
Well, Triumph, I actually totally agree with what you're saying, that AI needs to be regulated. Because nowadays, people use it as a substitute for their brain. They don't think again. They just put the questions or the assignment, they put it there, they copy it, they go to Dehumanizer, and then they submit it. So what I think is that AI is not going away. Like, there's nothing we can do. It's only going to get better and even easier to use it and disguise it. So what we need to do is start to teach the younger generation how to use AI. Because like I said earlier, it is a tool. It is not meant to take over your brain. It is meant to augment it and it's meant to help your creative juices. So what I think we need to do is to start teaching the younger generation. I think in some countries like China, AI is already a subject in primary school. We need to start teaching the younger generation how to use this tool effectively to, eventually solve these global issues that we're talking about, like poverty, food insecurity, pandemics, all of these different things. I think, but for right now, especially for, students our age, what we need to do is to make a personal decision that, I'm in university. What is university for? I'm meant to write papers. I'm meant to do this. I'm actually meant to learn. So we have to make the personal decision that, yes, there is AI, but I'm going to do the work. I'm going to try my best, figure out everything to do. And even if I want to use AI, let it be the last resort. Let me know that at least I put in effort and I gained a skill from this.
Alpha, you know that we usually think that, the mindset of a man, there's a way it should grow, there's a way it should advance, there's a way everybody should think. However, with AI, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, are you beginning to see that maybe we might not be able to actually achieve the growth mindset, right?
Do I think that is the case? No, and I'll explain why. The idea of the growth mindset is something that was put forward by a professor at Stanford. Her name is Carol Dweck. And essentially, it's an idea that the mind and the ability of the mind to do certain things is malleable. It's just not fixed. So the idea that we usually have when we say, okay, that person is coming first, so he's smart, that doesn't, like Carol Dweck just completely destabilizes that, because what it does is that we box ourselves into certain categories of intelligence, and we say, oh, I'm not as smart as this, so I can't do this. I'm this smart, so I can't do this. And then what that causes is that we then begin to focus on results as opposed to actually applying ourselves and putting effort. So with regards to your question about how, with the increase of STEM and AI and technology, would it be still possible to achieve a growth mindset? The reason why I say that it will still be possible is because growth mindset is not even dependent on the presence or absence of technology. It's dependent on the decision of the person. So if you say as yourself that, okay, I'm going to apply effort here, it doesn't matter, it's your decision. Even if there's like all the AI in the world that can do it for you, you can decide to still not use that AI because fundamentally it's all a choice. But the issue now is that because of the lack of education on AI, like Lazina pointed to, we don't have that culture of seeing technology as an opportunity to put more effort. We just see it as like the answer itself. So we see the AI and we're like, oh yeah, that's something that can give me what I want, so I'll just use it, as opposed to trying to actually learn about it and apply ourselves. But since it's a decision that you have to individually take, it doesn't matter how good AI gets, you can always still take it. So that's what I think about growth mindset.
Okay, what I just want to say about what you just said is STEM, AI, and a growth mindset. A growth mindset is based on your decision to actually make a difference. Now, I was saying that there's some people that they can't even like come online to say certain things because maybe they cannot properly communicate their words, maybe in English language, maybe they're not good with the use of English language, maybe they're not even good with not just the use of English language when it comes to speaking, but also when it comes to writing. Now, some of those people with these challenges, you know, we have AI, everybody feels like, okay, now, whatever it is that I want to say, once I take it to AI, is going to be fine. So I feel like we're already shifting from the problem that this thing is actually supposed to solve. Because I once saw a report, right, that says that we are not even using AI the way we are supposed to be using it. The only thing we are using it for emergency, let's do an emergency and all of that. We're not even using AI. We're just still scraping the surface of it. And there is so much already. How then do we even balance AI, STEM AI, and then your growth mindset?
Well, for me, concerning how to balance, first of all, from what we've initiated earlier on, that we need to start teaching AI in schools, right? Because there are more things about AI. AI is not for us to rely on. AI is just to make your work, you know, better. AI should be a tool used to learn, right? So if you're not in the four walls of the classroom, you're at home, and you want to learn about some things or you want to read about some things, then you can, you know, divert into using AI to learn some certain things. So concerning AI and STEM, now, one thing about the issue of STEM is that, you know, things keep on evolving every time. We keep on having certain problems and every time and then. So I feel if AI were to be taught properly in schools, right, AI could also assist, let me use the sole word, scientists in providing solutions. It could even be to climate changes, right? It could be to, okay, how can you go about this particular pandemic, this health related? Now we could ask, AI is like, it should be like your friend. When I mean your friend, not something that you have to use to probably do your assignment or so. Like your friend, like, okay, you need a certain information, right? That's why I said it should be used by smart people because it depends on how you use your word. So there's a certain issue on ground as a STEM, among all the STEM students, and you're trying to like provide a solution to it. AI, okay, I said AI, sorry, pardon me. AI should, okay, can use the AI. Okay, AI, how can, or what solutions can be, you know, suggested in tackling this particular issue? So it's not like, okay, AI should be used for your school. So I feel there could be a balance there if it's properly taught in school.
Okay, so thank you so much for that goodness. Well, we are going to go on a very short break. But when we come back, I'm going to be asking Alpha and Lizina so we can actually see away from the problems. Let's now look into some of the things that STEM and AI can actually help us solve as a nation, right? So we'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We are still talking about the role of STEM and AI to actually solve global problems. And we have been joined by Lizina, Alpha, and I have Goodness right here in the studio. Okay, like I said, I was saying that let's not even look at STEM and AI. What are some of the things? Let's look into some very, very practical from your own perspective, from the way you view Nigeria presently, from the way you view the state of things. What kind of collaboration do you think STEM and AI can do to help us to achieve certain things, right? Lizina.
All right, Tribe. So I think the major one that as a country we should implement is AI in healthcare, because in other developed countries, AI has been put into healthcare and into surgeries and is making a lot of changes. But in Nigeria, we haven't even scratched the surface at all. So in surgeries, what they do is that doctors usually use robots during the surgery. So the robots are completely controlled by the doctor, but then with the robot doing it, it ensures precision and it ensures that the patients recover faster. Imagine if this is implemented in every single hospital across Nigeria, the government hospitals, the private hospitals, what amount of effects will we see at the end? There'll be obviously a lot more patients will be out, and then the hospitals will be doing way much better. And then STEM can also be implemented in producing vaccines and treatment methods, and also in predicting these treatments. So take, for example, in 2020, some of the scientists from Redeemer University were actually able to come up with the genome of COVID-19 early, and this helped to track variants. So within the first year of COVID-19 being affecting the whole country, the scientists from Redeemer University were able to track this down, and this slowed down the process a bit. Even though it still had a large effect on the country, it still slowed down the process a bit. Another thing that I think as a country we can implement AI in is climate change. Climate change has been something that has been talked about over the years, but like in Nigeria, I'm not really seeing any changes at all. For one, recycling. Recycling is one of the like basic things when we're talking about climate change, but nothing has been done in Nigeria. And also, there's a lot of things that have been put in place to help waste management, but that has also not been seen in Nigeria. I think the only thing that we have tried on is probably renewable energy, because earlier, before, like let's say 5 years ago, solar panels, wind power, that was not seen in Nigeria at all. But now scientists have actually been coming up with innovative and more reliant solar panels, and it is actually more accessible to people and it is cheaper. There's so much more that AI can also do, like let's talk about poverty and food insecurity. AI can be used in agriculture. Drones can be used. It can be used in genome producing crop resistant breeds to help us to produce more crops faster. And when we're able to produce more food, the 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 is going to be fed more, obviously, and then this can help in reducing food insecurity and poverty as well. I think about 40% of the Nigerian population is living in abject poverty. And do you know that with this STEM, I mean, this AI, that some people are like seen as so negative, there's so much more job opportunities that come from this. So if we can sit down as a nation and like try to teach people from young and even youth, like going to university and learn more about AI, all of these can actually be put into jobs. And the problem of unemployment, that is, at least, even if it's not fully curbed, at least it'll be halfway curbed and we'll be getting somewhere. And then, like I said earlier, with the food management, I think Nigeria is solely dependent on petroleum as its source of income, right? We are not really looking at food and agriculture. If we can implement STEM and technology in particular, into our agriculture, we will be able to produce much, much more than we are producing now, and potentially even export and use this as a way to gain money and to gain income for our country. So, like I said before, STEM, AI, everything is a tool. You just have to know how to use it. And there was something that Alpha said earlier that I wanted to comment on, that STEM and AI alone cannot solve these global issues. You actually need a growth mindset. With all of these things, it is trial and error. I think maybe 1 in 100 people get a solution at the first time. What we need to do is to know that, okay, this failure that I might incur now, it is just a stepping stone. It just means that I haven't gotten the solution yet. That means I need to continue trying harder. And another thing about growth mindset that I think we should think about is collaboration. You cannot, at
That
least,
collaboration, I
no
think we
man
should
is an
talk about
island.
collaboration. We'll still talk about collaboration, right? And you're going to say what you have to say about collaboration. But I think before you move away from collaboration, Goodness has something to say to what you've been saying. Then we are going to get Alpha's thoughts about it.
Okay, yeah, from what Lizina said concerning the use of AI in terms of agriculture, right? And it's true that Nigeria had actually been focusing a long time ago on the petroleum aspect of financing the country. So if AI is beyond your ChatGPT or your Gemini, AI also involves in terms of, structures, in terms of technologies, like all these robots and so forth. So we're not just dealing with Gemini or ChatGPT. So if this instruments generated or deployed to this aspect of agriculture in the country, I think it will help, because we have some farmers in other states, like in the northern states, their major occupation there is agriculture, right? So if they are provided with this equipment, I think we'll produce larger number of production.
Okay, thank you for that. Alpha.
Yeah, I'm going to run through this quickly. First of all, I want to say something about regulation and balancing AI and STEM with a growth mindset. Harvard University has an online course called CS50, Computer Science, for their first-year classes entering into Harvard. And on their platform, they have this thing called Debug 50. Now, Debug 50 is an AI-based chatbot that's essentially supposed to help the students to code, like when they're trying to solve their answers. But then Harvard has trained that chatbot to not ever give the actual answers to the questions. So you can ask the chatbot and it can ask you back questions, but it doesn't give you the answers. So this is one way that regulating AI, balance it with a growth mindset, because it forces the students to apply effort as opposed to just receiving the answers. So if we're to implement this in secondary schools, that is a potential framework that can consider. I would say in Nigeria specifically, big data. Big data is just large, random, unstructured sets of data. And that sounds like Nigeria for me. So we have so much data about so many things, but then because we don't track any of it, we can't use any of it. And deep learning models, deep learning is a subset of machine learning, that's a subset of AI. Deep learning models are specifically able to handle large, unstructured data sets. It's literally you feed the model something and it just learns about the entire thing. So if we could collect data on like so many things in Nigeria and feed that into an LLM like ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is based on deep learning, it can literally analyze the entire nation of Nigeria and come up with strategies based off of so many different things that we've seen. But I'll give 2 specific applications of AI before I wrap up. The first one is in finance. Now, the finance industry in Nigeria is one of the biggest industries in the world. Things like Flutterwave, MoneyPoint have attracted even the eyes of Silicon Valley investors to Nigeria. So we have a huge finance industry. But then fraud is, you even spoke about fraud today. Fraud detection is something that AI specializes in it, literally, because the AI can track all the financial transactions and it can notice when something is off. And it can alert the people like who are supposed to be regulating it on time. So fraud detection is one huge way that we can apply AI in finance. It's actually just give the model to the banks and let them use it, and they can track all the people that EFCC has been looking for. We can find them, That's one. Number 2, just to touch on that agriculture that was mentioned by both Lizina and Goodness. AI is usually used because I used to work as a robotics engineer intern at an agri-robotics company, where they have robots that essentially treat strawberries using ultraviolet radiation. Now, those robots go through the guided rows of the strawberries, and the AI essentially helps the robot to see where it's going. So it uses computer vision to help the robot to move through the rows. Now, imagine in a place like Nigeria where we have rows of tomatoes and rows of corn and all sorts of things. We could have autonomous robots that are going through those rows and treating them with either the herbicide or the fungicide, or even planting the seeds themselves, because the AI can guide the robots through the rows as long as the farmers plant in their appropriate places. My father actually has a farm, and he's one of those intentional farmers that plants in the very specific rows. So it's possible to actually implement AI in agriculture in this way as well.
There's a whole lot to talk about. Thank you, Alpha. I really wish we could go on and on, but time is fast spent. So in 40 seconds, Lizina, one thing I want you to just talk about in 40 seconds as your conclusion is how do young people still stay relevant? How do people, because people are also scared about the fact that AI and STEM, the future of their jobs are at risk. So in 40 seconds as a conclusion, what would you have to say to those that have those kind of fear? How do they stay relevant?
All right. So one thing I've noticed about the world we're living in now is that it is volatile, it is uncertain, it is complex, and it is ambiguous. In order for you to stay relevant in this world, you must maintain a process of relearning, unlearning, and learning. Things are going to come and things are going to go. You have to keep yourself updated. Even though AI can potentially take away jobs, there's always a new skill to learn. Are you putting in the effort to continue learning new skills and to continue keeping yourself updated with the world around us? That is the advice I will give to any young person that is in fear that AI is going to take away their jobs. In fact, AI is also going to help us to create more jobs. So you yourself just have to keep yourself relevant.
Well said, Lizina. Thank you so much. Because technology can actually open doors, is a great one, but only a growth mindset gives us the courage to actually walk through them. And if we are very honest, the future we dream of will not be built by machines alone. All right, and that is where we draw the curtain. So do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, like, and share. See you tomorrow at the same time. Bye.